All right, Fresh. Let's go to the Gator Bowl. It's the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. It's here in Jacksonville, Florida. And it's the Clemson Tigers. They're 8-4 out of the ACC. They're going to face the Kentucky Wildcats in this football game out of the SEC. They're 7-5 on the season. Clemson, Bo Collins is out. They got a couple of guys on the offensive line here. Jeremiah, biggest opt-out right there. Barrett Carter is potential opt-out. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., he is opting out. Nate Wiggins, the cornerback, is opting out as well. Pride as well. You take a look at for Kentucky right now. This is interesting. Ray Davis was a potential opt-out. He looks like he is playing, and a couple of guys in the portal, but Kentucky's got a lot of guys coming in. But we'll be interested to see this one, Fresh. How do you see Clemson versus Kentucky going?
Well, I think Clemson's on heater right now. They had a rough start. They were 4-4, and then our boy Troy from Spartanburg called in and got into a shouting match with Dabo. And from there on out, Clemson Tigers maybe found themselves a little bit. They galvanized themselves. They rallied around their coach. Maybe they were proud their coach stood up for them and fought. But they've won 4 straight, including wins over Carolina, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Notre Dame. Obviously, some of those are names and they aren't the greatest, but you're still throwing four wins together when you were up against it 4-4. And you come into this ball game, yeah, you've had a lot of guys opt out or transfer or whatever. But when Barrett Carter said that he's not going pro, he's staying, I think it might have told some of the younger players, like, there's a standard, and I'm leaving more on the field. I don't want to leave what I have here. I have more to give to Clemson. I think that right there is going to be someone in that locker room, in that team, as a vocal leader that's going to help them help the Tigers be prepared for this football game. 8-5 and 9-4 are completely different. Cade Klubnik, you've had a rough season this year, up and down. Good moments, bad moments. You had a lot of pressure on your shoulders. I want to see what you can do in this ball game as a transition in the next year. To use this as a springboard going forward. Your last bowl experience in Miami versus Tennessee last year was horrendous, and I'm sure you want to forget it. You have a chance to make up for it in this game versus an SEC opponent in the Kentucky Wildcats. Phil Maffa, Will Shipley. We've seen the 1-2 back combination. It used to be just all Shipley. He's kind of been dealing with injuries, kind of taken himself out. Not exactly the lead back anymore. They've kind of gone about 1A, 1B situation. I expect them both to be heavily involved in the ground game. If you're Clemson, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Be physical. You don't have to let Klubnik throw the ball all day long. Get physical in the trenches, run the ball at Kentucky. Try to become a tough football team. Be a physical football team. The finesse side, when you had your offense under Watson and Lawrence, it was great. You won some national titles. You were throwing all over the yard. You had Hunter Renfrow in his 85th year at Clemson. It was great. You're a different football team, and it's maybe time to embrace that and continue to keep feeding off that, or run the football, being a physical team, and passing them you want to. Don't have Klubnik be that don't be him be the focal point of the offense and have him distribute, because you don't have the same receivers you had either as well. So you've blended that offense. You've made some changes. Continue to keep feeding off that in this football game. You're going to have athletes on defense. We get it. Kentucky. It's looking like Stoops is going to go to A&M for a second, and apparently the A&M boosters didn't want him, so he came back to Kentucky. It's kind of awkward. This is the first time he's on the field since that whole thing went down. Tons of transfers coming into Kentucky, but obviously none of those guys can play on this game. If Ray Davis plays, interesting. I like it. He's already said he's going to the NFL, so I don't think he's going to play. I think he wants to get to the NFL draft. Leary, this is your last real, opportunity as a quarterback. I don't really know if you're NFL material, at least as a starter. So can you go out here? Can you show up against Clemson? Can you put some points on the board? And honestly, Cohen, Liam Cohen is offensive coordinator. Open up the playbook. You want to try to draw on there and show that you're an NFL coordinator who came back to college to develop these quarterbacks. Spread the offense out. Get vertical. Attack Clemson. Show something no one's ever seen before. If you want to track recruits, you want to track more guys in the portal, because this game is a couple days before January 2nd when the portal closes, go out there, open up the offense. You have some guys coming in already that are on campus, but show other people, make an impression that we're going to be vertical. We're going to show a modern offense, because right now in this day of college football, you cannot be 3 yards in a cloud of dust and just play defense anymore. Look what happened to Iowa. They have an amazing defense, but the offense is letting them down. You have to have an offense that can score some points and be a little more prolific. And you want to show recruits that you can put some NFL product on the field because all these kids are thinking about is wins, NIL, and how can I get to the league. If you can show offensive concepts and philosophies and put points on the board, help your defense out, but also help attract recruits and show you can get them where they want to go. This is a game that you can sort of springboard that with. Go out there, open it up, throw the ball a little around. You showed offense versus Louisville. You went out there and you beat the second best team in the ACC. You have a chance of beating Clemson here. That could put another feather in the cap of teams that you're beating that people recognize. Can you do it? Can Big Blue Nation show up in Jacksonville and get it done? Defensively, you're going to be tough. You're always going to be physical. Big Blue Wall, that offensive line, you weren't exactly that great this year. Can you guys reestablish your dominance and you earn that nickname back? That's what I want to see. Use this game going forward to 2024 for Stoops in Kentucky. In the end, I think Dabo has too much momentum with Clemson. I think the Tigers have too much right now. They get it done. They will cover the spread and the over will hit.
Wow. Spread's currently at 5 points, Clemson, and over-under set 47 in this game. Fresh, we were treated to a heck of a Gator Bowl last year, and I'm a little concerned about the one that we're about ready to see. Clemson needs this football game, but they've lost a lot on defense. They've lost a lot on defense for the transfer portal or opting out. You see Klubnik, what he's done on the season there, and you talk about this with Klubnik. He's got to be. He hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been like what you'd expect. Because remember, you had a very good quarterback in DJU who was very similar, putting up the same stats as Klubnik is. It may be time for Dabo to take a long look in the mirror and say, I need to do something differently here. I need to do something differently offensively because my quarterbacks aren't producing to the level of Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson or anything like that. I get it. There's a great difference in talent gap right there. Overall, we're talking about 2 first-round picks. But Clemson should be better offensively on this. You take a look at Will Shipley. I know he battled some stuff all throughout this season here. And, take a look at what he did. 80 yards against South Carolina. I know he really kind of struggled throughout the year. And then, Tyler Brown. I don't think he's opting out right now. Take a quick look there. But, where's it going to come from Clemson? Where's it going to be like the offensive? Kentucky, same thing. Devin Leary, you transfer from NC State. Yeah, kind of a horrific year. Completing only 56% of your passes. He turned the ball over, took sacks in opportune time. But I can't say enough nice things about Ray Davis. Like, transferred in and just balled out at Kentucky. You look at him, 1,000-yard season, 13 touchdowns, and especially him playing in this game. I think he's got the advantage with Trotter out and some of the other people that Clemson is missing on the defensive side of the football. And Ray Davis saying, I'm going to play in this football game. I like the move. I really do. I think he's going to really help Kentucky in this. It's which Kentucky receiver can have a decent game. You talk about Clemson is missing one of their starting cornerbacks there. Can they play beyond theirs in the system? Can they kind of take advantage of those mismatches? I don't know here, Fresh. But there's something, again, what I'm going to go to right here. Growing up, Fresh, I was a big fan of the singer Meatloaf. And Meatloaf's first #1 hit was that I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Fresh, I love you as much as I could for a co-host. And I legitimately would do pretty much anything for you as a really good friend here. But I won't do that. I won't pick Clemson. It's what Meatloaf wouldn't want me to do. I'll tell you that right now. I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. And so I'm picking, I'll take Kentucky and the points in it just for spite because of Dabo Swinney and Meatloaf taught me better otherwise. So, there's 2 versions of that song?
No, I did not know there's 2 versions of that song.
So it's like an extra minute and a half in that song.
Did you know one thing we haven't really talked about much at all this year? Speaking of Clemson and struggles,
Beside
who was the
Meatloaf and his awesomeness.
offensive coordinator for TCU last year?
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head.
It was Garrett Riley. He did all the stuff with them. Dugan, Max Duggan and all those guys. They bring him in here. Lincoln Riley's little brother. This offense for Clemson the entire year has not looked a thing like whatever Lincoln Riley does or what they had last year at TCU. The mobile quarterback, the running game, the receivers, the fast pace. There's just something that's not clicking. Whether it was just TCU had a luck of the year and everything just sort of flowed for them, but the personnel for Clemson isn't what Garrett Riley needs. But that offense just does not give you that feel of four receivers, air raid, spread it out. Maybe it's the quarterback and not having that mobility, or maybe just don't have the playmaking receivers, but something's not there. And it makes you kind of wonder, does Dabo have too much restraint on what Garrett Riley's trying to do? Or they have the playmakers, they don't have them there? Are they a year away, maybe getting more kids in? But there's just something that has not gelled from that entire move. And for all the money they paid him, it seemed like a waste right now. And I want to see if they use this game to get back to that air raid, fast-paced offense.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what they do in this football game here, Fresh, because it's going to be a really, really interesting one for them.